Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. It's news that's nightly about the Redskins. Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to our lead story. So, the Redskins fell to the Chicago Bears 31-15 on Monday Night Football. It was really hard on the rewatch to analyze the game. The first half was just abysmal. It really, on the part of Jay Gruden, the first half was downright negligent. The game plan was flawed from the offensive side of the football, not making an emphasis on blocking Khalil Mack. If you thought it was a good idea to have Jeremy Sprinkle supposed to block him one-on-one and then have Vernon Davis sift blocking across the formation to pick him up. If you thought that was a good idea, you need to wash your face and get your mind right. If you thought Morgan Moses was going to be able to block this man one-on-one, once again, wash your goddamn face and get your mind right. It was a bad game plan. Dropping Case Keenum back on 5 and 7 step drops continuously and consistently early in the ball game was not a smart move. The quick game should have been in full effect. We talked about this. How the quick game needed to be a staple for the Redskins because this pass rush was so dynamic that they could hit home, that you needed to get the ball out of Keenum's hand. And we also talked about the need to be able to run it. And it was amazing that at the most inopportune times, Jay decided he wanted to run the football. When he should have stuck with the damn pass, he decided he wanted to run the damn ball on 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1 and 4th and inches. It was so frustrating to see this defense give up underneath route after underneath route after underneath route to Mitchell Trubisky, who came into the game averaging 50% completion percentage on the season, and the Redskins gave up like 87% to this guy. I think he ended up 26 of 31 in this game or some nonsense like that. And you know what I heard? I heard a really fascinating stat. Someone said, and I don't know who I heard this from, but I believe it, that the lowest completion percentage the Redskins have given up this season. Get this, guys. This is no bull, okay? This is real stuff here. And I went back and checked after I heard it because I'm like, that can't be right. But then I thought about it and I'm like, that's pretty accurate. The lowest completion percentage the Redskins have forced this year was in week 1 versus the Eagles and Carson Wentz. Do you know what that completion percentage was? Guess. 71%. Are you kidding me? Dak Prescott was like 88%. He went 26 of 30, I think he went. And I think this past Monday, Mitchell Trubisky went like 26 of 31. And I think he was like at 85 or 84%. I mean, if 71% completion percentage is the best you've done thus far in this season, man, is your defense bad. And we've been really bad. And our third down defense was bad once again. The rewatch was just so hard because you're watching guys running wide open. The first third down of the game, I don't know what we were doing. Fabian Moreau looks like he was in man-to-man, and he gets turned absolutely around, and Allen Robinson is wide open, and Mitchell Trubisky tried his best to miss him. It's a hell of a catch by Allen Robinson. Mitchell Trubisky stinks. I went back and watched this game, and I can't tell you how inaccurate this guy is, and the fact that he's that inaccurate, and we gave him easy throws all night long and allowed this man to go out and complete 80+% completion percentage against us is a travesty. It's a farce, and it just speaks volumes as to where this defense is right now. It's a damn shame. And the defense, I'm not going to harp on the defense because you know how I feel. I told you that Greg Minuski should have been fired last week after the Dallas Cowboys debacle. And so he was back again for more. Jay Gruden is a glutton for punishment. And they're going to continue to stink on defense because at the end of the day, we're ill-prepared on both the offensive and defensive sides of the football. Greg Minuski's defense is too easy and rudimentary to figure out. You kept seeing Mitchell Trubisky give dummy counts. They weren't even huddling up. Why? Because they wanted Minuski to identify what they were going to do pre-snap so that they would know exactly what to call against the defense. And Minuski made no adjustments, and they know exactly, oh, they're in zone. Let's run this right here. Oh, they're in man. Let's run our man beaters with these crossing routes and confuse them like we always do, like everyone else always does. And so everything came easy to them in this game. And we talked about last night the shallow crosses, guys running wide open on 3rd and 5, and guys are 3rd and 2. Guys are retreating to 9 and 10 yards as if this is a 3rd and 13 situation and they're playing the sticks. And he catches a simple shallow cross and runs for 13 yards on 3rd and 2. I mean, this defense was atrocious last night. And there was a caller that actually thought the defense was good last night. I'm like, are you watching the same game that I was and everybody else was watching? Because the defense was abysmal again. We allowed Mitchell Trubisky to put up 28 points. Granted, there was a pick six involved and a forced fumble that gave the Bears the football inside the Redskins 15-yard line. I'm aware of all of this. But the fact that Mitchell Trubisky had 3 passing touchdowns, one on 3rd and 19, I think it was 3rd and 16 or 3rd and 19, and Josh Norman for the 3rd straight week gets his ass beat. I mean, burnt, like he stole something. I mean, he got his ass baptized yet again, and so that's getting old very fast. I know for some of you, it was old before the season started and you wanted him gone. I was like, give him a chance. Now I'm like, man, this shit is getting old. It's really getting old watching guys run past him week after week after week. And with Josh, the frustrating thing is you can't win with this dude because you're like, hey, Josh, play off. All right, so they don't beat you deep. And he still gets beat deep. They're like, hey, Josh, come up so they don't beat you on the slant. And he still gets beat on the slant. What are you supposed to do with this dude if he can't defense the underneath stuff and he's still getting beat over the top? I mean, what are you supposed to do? You tell him to back up, he's giving up the easy stuff underneath. You tell him to come up, he's getting beat deep. You tell him to back up so he doesn't give up the deep stuff, he's still giving up the deep stuff. And you tell him to come up so he doesn't give up the underneath stuff, and he's still giving up the underneath stuff. I really don't know what to do with this dude. Obviously, this is his last year in D.C. It can't get much worse for him. He was a train wreck. Again, despite the interception, he was bad in this game yet again. Some positive takeaways from the defensive side of the football. By far and away, the best performance for Matt Ioannidis in this game thus far this season. He was really effective early in this game. Had the sack. The one critique and criticism I have of the sack, I watched it like 15 times because we got to watch a true untamed beast in this game and what a elite, difference-making, havoc-wreaking pass rusher looks like. We got to see that up close and personal. All right, for those of you who think that, Montez Sweat can be this or that, that's what a difference-making pass rusher looks like. All right, we haven't had one of those in D.C. in quite some time. You got to go back to the Dexter Manley days. You got to go back to maybe LeVar Arrington when he was allowed to rush at times when he looked dominant. But really, we haven't had this kind of pass rusher, that fear-inducing pass rusher, since probably Dexter Manley and Charles Mann. That's the last time we had a semblance of what Khalil Mack looks like on the football field. But the thing that I love about Mack and the guys that are elite, what they do is they go after the ball. Hey, sacks are nice, all right? You get a sack for knocking the ball out of the quarterback's hand, in case you didn't know. So instead of me trying to bust the quarterback up and get a big hit or ooh and ah hit, how about because the ball is more important. I give 2 shits about hitting Case Keenum. I give 2 shits about hitting Mitchell Trubisky. I really, honestly could give a damn about putting him on his back. I want the ball. That's all I really care about. And Khalil Mack was looking for the rock. He's hungry. He wants the ball every time. The first sack of the game when the Redskins thought it was a good idea to sift block Vernon Davis all the way back across the formation to try to block Khalil Mack, and nobody laid a finger on him, and he got to Case Keenum. Watch that play in slow motion. I watched that play in slow motion 3 times because I was amazed at what I saw. I saw a true technician at work. He wasn't satisfied with bagging Case Keenum. He knew the minute he didn't get blocked, the minute he was unblocked and unfazed by the Redskins' blocking scheme, the minute that he was unabated to the quarterback, he said, the sack's in the bag. All right, I'm going to bag me a QB right now. He said, but that's not good enough, man. I'm greedy. I want more because I am a guy that makes plays. I'm a difference maker, and difference makers don't just get sacks, they get the rock. And so this man, the entire time he's sacking Case Keenum, he's raking, pulling, scratching, clawing for the ball to come out. And guess what? It does. And I'm amazed by this. It wasn't good enough for him to just... Most guys don't have the wherewithal. They're not mentally locked in to the point where they're thinking, the sack's good, but the ball is great. And I want to be great on this play, so I'm going to go get the rock. Most guys are just content with getting to the quarterback and they want to get up and do a sack dance. They're looking to be able to say, I got it to the quarterback, even though you didn't get blocked. Now, Khalil Mack said, look, you didn't block me. That's a blessing. I appreciate that. But now that you didn't block me, I got to go the extra mile and really make you pay for not laying hands on me. And I'm going to get the ball. Luckily, the ball didn't trickle away from Case Keenum and he was able to get back on top of it. But the fact that the ball came out on that play, that's baller right there. That's baller status. Later on in the game, the Redskins weren't able to be lucky this time. As he came around the corner, didn't lay a single finger on Case Keenum. Not a one. But you know what he did lay hands on? That football. Knocked that shit right out of his damn hands, and it was recovered by the Bears. That's what ballers do. We don't have those on our football team. Not at this very moment. Maybe Montez Sweat eventually can grow into that. Maybe a Daron Payne could eventually grow into that. But we don't have those guys on the roster right now as constituted. Now, I will say this. It was nice to see Ioannidis get to the quarterback. But you know what he should have did? And Mitchell was being sloppy, man. The handles was sloppy. Much like Case Keenum in the pocket, the handles is sloppy, man. You can pluck him. You can reach in the cookie jar. Yum, yum, eat him up. Yum, yum, eat him up. And get the cookies. The Bears did it all night long. All night long. All night. Whoa. All night long. All night. All night. Got it all night long. They were eating cookies. Give me those. Yum, yum, eat them up. And we could have got the same thing, had a walk-in touchdown. If Matt Ioannidis had that baller mentality. But he's just happy to get there, man. He hadn't had a sack all season. He was just excited to be there. That ball was out there. Mitch had one hand on the rock, holding that shit like a grapefruit. Like he had it like that. All Ioannidis had to do was go after the rock, and it was there for the taking. And he was just excited to get to the quarterback. Happy to get up and, I got a safety. No, you didn't get a safety, bruh. You could have got a touchdown, though. But you weren't hungry enough, man. You're not a baller. You're just a really good football player, but you're not a difference maker. Difference makers have that football end up on the carpet, and the Redskins recover that thing for a touchdown. Or at least a safety. So, really disappointed in that aspect of that particular play, but it was good to see him get to the quarterback. Same could be said for Montez Sweat. On that particular sack, when you track down the quarterback from behind and he doesn't necessarily know you're there, gotta have you swiping for the arm, man. Swiping for the ball. That's what the ballers do. They go after the ball because that's what ballers do. All right? And he'll get there, man. He was, just, again, much like Ioannidis, he was just happy to be there, man. Happy to record his first ever sack in the National Football League. So I'm not going to beat up the young pup, man, because he didn't know any better. But Ioannidis is a seasoned veteran, and he knows how important it is to get to the rock. So I'm not going to beat up the young fella because he's a young puppy, but I'm gonna get the big dog in Matt Ioannidis. I need the rock right there, man. That could have been a game-changing play, and instead it was just simply a sack down to the 1 yard line. So that's a little disappointing, but I thought Ioannidis played well. I thought Montez Sweat had his best showing of his young NFL career. Really excited about those two guys on the defensive side of the football, and that's pretty much where the praise goes to that side of the football. You flip it to the offensive side. Jay was absolutely negligent. I think the best word to use for his game plan, especially in the first half, was negligent. Not having a better plan in place to block number 52. Hello, a guy that can wreck your entire game plan. And oh, by the way, he did exactly that in the first half. 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and really never made Case Keenum feel comfortable in the pocket. And he always was looking around at number 52. And that, I think, was part of the blame for the interceptions. Jeremy sprinkle me, bitch. Sprinkle me with a drop on the very first possession of the game. And I'm not saying that would have made a huge difference, but the very next throw after that was the interception. You had Case pressing. That would have been a huge chunk play over the middle. What was Jeremy doing with his hands there, man? I mean, that was like Madden 47 catch right there. That was despicable. That was downright disgusting what he did with his hands on that play. Then a possession later, makes a ridiculous catch. Where you're like, really, guy? Seriously? We're doing that right now? So, but back to Jay and his play calling. I thought he just was off all night. And then in the second half, when there was no pressure on him to make play calls, all of a sudden now he wants to get to the quick game. That should have been the game plan from early in the game. Not now that you're down 28-3. Now you want to go quick game. It's too damn late. And it really wasn't, because I sent out a tweet. And you know what was so frustrating? And this is part of my problem. I'm too much of a damn competitor. And so I never give up on games. I'm the dummy. And I may be speaking by myself. I'm the dummy. I'm the idiot in the room that when you're down 3 with 4 seconds left in the game and you just score a touchdown. I'm the idiot that thinks, hey man, we get an onside kick. No, you're down 3 with 14 seconds. And let's say the Redskins are down 10 with a minute and 47 seconds left. And they got to go the length of the field, score. I'm the dummy that thinks, hey man, all we need is a touchdown, an onside kick, one completion, and a field goal, and we might be able to send this thing into overtime. I'm that guy. All right, I'm the guy that never thinks the game is over. So even when we're down 20 points in the second half of this game, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, hey man, you get a stop here. What if Mitch Trubisky throws us a pick six? We're right back in this thing. What if we get a stop and we get a bomb to Terry McLaurin? We're right back in this thing with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. They're thinking this game's over and we're still in this thing. I'm that dummy. I admit, as much as I was so close to turning this game off and starting the live stream several times, but the competitor in me said they've shut it off. They've turned off the faucet. All right, and it's hard to turn that back on once you turn it off. They had taken their foot off the gas pedal. They were done. This game was over. They listened to Booger McFarland for the 920th million time during the game say that this game's over. This game's well in hand. And it was only the third quarter. And the game was nowhere near over. And the Redskins were moving the football. And they had scored on 2 consecutive possessions. And they were right back in this thing. And with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, we're at the Bears' 16-yard line. And I'm thinking to myself, if we go in for a score here with 6 minutes left, we're back in this game. And now the offense of the Bears, which is brutally garbage, and Mitchell Trubisky, who stinks, now the pressure's on them for the first time in this game. He could make a mistake, or they could go 3 and out. We could get the football back. We got all the momentum. Why can't we make one of the most epic comebacks on Monday Night Football in the history of the Monday Night Football situation? Why can't we do that? Why can't tonight be the night? Why can't we do what the Eagles did to us in week 1? And so I got all these thoughts in my head, and on that 3rd and 1, my heart's beating out of my chest. On that 4th and 1, my heart's beating out of my chest. And then Case Keenum takes my heart, rips it out of my damn chest, throws it on the floor, and steps on it, and then looks at me with that blank stare like, what? Did I just do something? Yeah, dummy, you just fumbled the damn football on a quarterback sneak, jumping over the top like it's a damn touchdown, and you at the goal line. Inexcusable. I watched that play over as if I didn't know it was about to happen, and it made me mad all over again. And you know what I did when that happened? I went from, man, we got a shot to zip, turned it off, laughed, walked away. I was so disappointed in that moment. I said, that's Case Keenum being Case Keenum. There was really nothing else to say, and I jumped on live, and the rest is history. And so that game was so frustrating. The play calling in that sequence was just god-awful. It's funny because I talked about the Redskins really not sticking with the run in the first half of the game when I thought there was actually a little bit of success with the run game with Adrian Peterson. And even Chris Thompson had a couple of good hits, and I thought the Redskins got away from the run game, which is fine, okay? If attacking them through the air on the short passing game, which is what we recommended anyway from the jump, was the thing to do, then yeah, get away from the run. Do what you do, but that's not what we decided to do. We decided to drop Case Keenum back, like 5 and 7 step drops, and knowing good and damn well we couldn't protect him, especially if Jay thought that these plays that he drew up in these protection schemes where Khalil Mack is singled up. And did you see the okie doke that Danny Trevathan put? And I tweeted out, you can't get okie doke there. But Brandon Sheriff first of all, that's a hell of a move, man. He gave him a mean hezzy, man. The kind in the NBA that dudes go down from. The hezzy on that play, if you haven't seen it, I went back and watched that thing 4 times. And I said, man, that's beautiful. First of all, we don't have a single player on our roster with that kind of creativity because he was going to get blocked by Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff was there. That blitz was picked up. And he gave Brandon Sheriff the meanest, most vicious, despicable, nasty, flavor delicious hezzy you will ever see in the NFL. I've never seen anything like it. He rushes, stops, acts like he's about to drop back, turns his head, everything. The whole play was simply magnificent. All right. And then Brandon Sheriff says, oh, well, he's dropping back. He's not really coming. I'm going to go help Chase Rouillet. And that man takes the hell off and makes a beeline for Case Keenum and sacks him. And Sheriff's like, what the hell just happened? That's one of those times, if I'm Brandon Sheriff, I don't want to be in the film room when you're going over that play because I got. The Bears simply were better than us in the first half. It wasn't even funny. And it looked like at times Jay Gruden wanted to get fired in the first half of this game. If that was the game plan, you were begging to get fired. Like you wanted to be put out of your misery in this football game. It seemed like it was intentional sometimes. And I don't think it was. But watching it from afar, you couldn't have thought some of those blocking schemes were the right thing to do. You couldn't have thought that dropping Case Keenum back in a 7-step drop with Morgan Moses protecting him on the front side one-on-one with Khalil Mack was the right thing to do. You couldn't have thought that sift blocking Vernon Davis across the formation while you're rolling Case Keenum out to the side where you're not blocking Khalil Mack was the smart thing to do. You couldn't have thought that when you drew that up on the whiteboard that was a good play. You couldn't have thought that was the right play. So, a lot of bad in this football game, but there was a bright spot offensively, too, as a matter of fact. Terry McLaurin was outstanding, and so was Paul Richardson. All right, those two guys were electric, catching the football, yards after catch. They had themselves a whale of a ball game. Terry McLaurin looks legitly, like seriously, legit number one option. Like I'm convinced now more than ever that, and because everyone's talking Jerry Jeudy in next year's draft, I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't mind taking a receiver. I don't want one in the first round. We've got more pressing needs, as I mentioned. We're going to need a tight end most likely next year, especially if Jordan Reed is done. Jay Gruden doesn't sound like he's done, but that doesn't mean anything. We also thought that he was going to play in weeks 1, 2, and 3, so that doesn't matter what Jay Gruden thinks at this point. But we're probably going to be in the market for a tight end. We're going to be in the market for a left tackle, and we're going to be in the market for a cornerback, I believe. All of those things, to me, supersede receiver at this point in terms of a need. I think we'll be fine at receiver, but if you want to add one in the 4th or the 5th round, be my guest. But if you're talking about impact players and add edge rusher to that mix, again, if Chase Young is available where we select, and I don't want to start talking about that, but again, I just wanted to say that to de-emphasize the point of drafting a wide receiver. I think we're good at wide receiver with Terry McLaurin, and with Paul Richardson's emergence, you got 2 legitimate options at receiver with Trey Quinn in the mix. That's 3 options that you like. And then remember, Kelvin Harmon is continuing to progress. And so I think we're fine at receiver right now, to be honest with you. McLaurin has made me really comfortable with our receiving group as a whole when you add in Richardson and Trey Quinn and what they're able to do. The only thing I would say about Trey Quinn is I would like him to be a little bit more assertive when going up the field to try to get extra yards after the catch. It's one thing to make a guy miss and run to open space, but when it's 3rd and 7 and you catch the ball 3 yards short, I want you to turn around and find a way to try to get those additional yards, not dive 1 yard short of the first down. So that's the only criticism I have of Trey Quinn right now. But I like the receivers that we have. So that's probably the only positive takeaway I have from the offense. Keenum was abysmal. He should have had a 6th. You know, and going back and watching, the Bears tried to help us out in the first half. Keenum should have had another interception thrown in this game. Wow, was Terry McLaurin open on a play where Keenum throws a pick, and they luckily bailed us out with a hands to the face penalty that I thought was questionable at best. If that was us that penalty was called on, I would have been pissed off, especially after we just created a turnover. But McLaurin put that man to shame, gave that man the bus route, and then dropped his ass off at the 7:30 stop, and he was gone to the 8 o'clock stop. Left that man at the bus stop waiting. I mean, that move he put on him was nasty, and he was wide open. And what Keenum's looking at that point, do not ask me. I do not know. I don't know. He was awful last night. And so that takes me, and so as close as we came to making this a ball game, I don't ever think we were going to win. But I thought we had a chance to really put some pressure on the Bears, get it within one score, and really force them to have to make some serious plays, which I didn't think they were capable of. But we're not a good enough team, and we don't do those. We don't come back from 28-3. We don't come back from 28-0. That's not who we are. All right, we had the you like it game. You like that? You know that, and that was an epic comeback, one for the ages. But that's generally not who we are. We don't have the epic comebacks. We're not good enough as an organization and a team to do that. But this game was a train wreck, especially in the first half. And at 0-3, that takes me to, in other news, where does that leave us at 0-3? The team isn't giving up. They're not quitting. I listened to a pissed off Jonathan Allen. I listened to a pissed off Terry McLaurin. Those guys aren't quitting, and nor should they. And Jay Gruden isn't quitting, nor should he. But at this point, at 0-3, with the Giants staring us square in the face with a rookie quarterback that has a chance to really do damage to us and our season, if you're talking nail in the coffin, the Giants have a chance to put the proverbial nail in the coffin. We are literally lying in the coffin. It's shut. Now, we can open it back up slightly to get some air with a win on Sunday. But if the Giants are as savage as I would want to be in this situation, I'm looking to put the nail in the coffin. We're already lying in the coffin. We don't have a lot of oxygen left and available to us. We're running out of time. If the Giants are the savages that they should be looking to put those final nails in the coffin, nail it shut, and end our season. Because, again, after that, we have the Patriots, and that means 0-4 turns to 0-5. And then at that point, what do? And that's where I am right now, the Jay Gruden dilemma. I don't think he's getting fired. You know, a lot of you wanted to see that done today. I told you no changes were coming, and that includes defensive coordinator. Now, if we get torched by the Giants in week 4, I think you may see a defensive coordinator change. I think if you see the brakes beat off of the Redskins in each of the next 2 games, and then it doesn't matter what kind of loss it is, close, big, whatever the case may be, you lose to the Dolphins in week 6, especially if Haskins isn't your starter, then you may see a change with Jay Gruden. But I can tell you this much. Case Keenum is going to be on a short leash, especially in week 4, if Colt McCoy is ready to go. And I've been hearing that Colt McCoy is getting very, very close to being ready to play. As a matter of fact, people are saying that he should be ready to go this week. And if that is in fact the case, Jay's already come out and said Colt's got to prove that he is capable of getting onto the field before they're actually going to put him in the game. We'll see about that, because we all know the infatuation Jay has with Colt. I think he believes of all the quarterbacks on the roster, Colt gives him the best chance to win. Colt knows the offense better than anyone on this roster. I think the players in the locker room think Colt gives them the best opportunity to win. And as I told you guys last night, before we'll see Haskins, we're going to see Colt McCoy. Bet on that, all right? So if there's a quick hook for Case Keenum, it's not going to be 7 going in the game. And you could argue, and I hope that this doesn't happen, if Jay really wants an avalanche of bullshit to be laid into his lap, he can try the old and inactive deactivation tactic again, and he'll have to answer questions all over again. Because once Colt McCoy is ready to go and he's active on game day, now you're telling me a team that has been very, very hot for roster spots, and we've been so hard up for roster spots that we're benching Adrian Peterson and not making him active, and we got so many guys on IR, and we're doing this and we're doing that. We don't know if this guy's going to be up and that guy's going to be up. And so now with some of these injuries, because remember, after the game was over, you had a situation where Chase Roulier left the game very briefly and came back, but that means something was wrong. Brandon Sheriff had an ankle injury. Who knows? You may have to have, because, again, it's never a good idea to have Tony Bergstrom in at guard. Speaking of which, let me double back to the loss on Monday. Jay Gruden, twice, not once, twice, thought it was okay to use Tony Bergstrom as a main cog for an offensive play call, which just, this is the thing that frustrates me with Jay Gruden, that I will never understand, is that he doesn't prepare his team to adjust to what the opposition does. He just assumes that his scheme is going to work, that his scheme can supersede what the other team is doing, and as long as they execute what he draws up, it's going to work. No, bruh. It doesn't matter what you draw up when Tony Bergstrom is your lead blocker on a counter play. Why would you call a play where Tony Bergstrom is pulling and he's your lead blocker on a play? He just came in the game. You really think it's a smart idea to have Tony Bergstrom as your lead blocker? You really think on 3rd and 1, with Eric Flowers leaving the game for an injury, with Tony Bergstrom checking in at left guard, that it's a smart idea to run a straight dive to the left side of the offensive line on 3rd and 1 because Tony Bergstrom's going to create movement? What are we doing right now? Seriously. Jay's clueless sometimes. He doesn't realize the situation that's in front of him. If Bergstrom's trekking into the game, you don't run duo to his side. If you're going to run a dive, it needs to be to the right side of the offensive line behind Sheriff and Morgan Moses. But and Rouye, but not behind goddamn, yeah, him. Shit. So it pissed me off. But anyway, you got some injuries along the offensive line. You don't know how healthy guys are going to be. Jay was sweating bullets because those injuries put him in a tough spot early in the game, and he didn't have any of those guys. Wes Martin, Ross Pierce Baker, none of those guys were active. They were both deactivated. He was going to be in a tough spot if Sheriff couldn't come back, and then Rouye got injured. If he couldn't come back, Jay was going to be in a really tough bind. Okay? So, like I said, if Colt comes back and he's healthy, dare I say, they deactivate one of the quarterbacks. Who do you think is going to be deactivated? Not going to be Case Keenum. Not going to be Colt McCoy. All right? Going to be old number 7, Dwayne Haskins. And that's going to start a whole nother firestorm. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what is done over the next couple of weeks. Because Case Keenum, I think, is on a short leash. After you turn it over 5 times and should have had a 6th turnover, but the officials gave you a gift. And you do some of the stupid ass things he did in this game, and you had 3 fumbles in this game, lost 2 of them, threw 3 interceptions, should have thrown a 4th. You could have easily had 7 turnovers in this game, and 5 turnovers. You're not going to beat anybody in this league, especially not the team, a defense the caliber of the Bears. He's on a short leash, I think, at New York, especially if Colt McCoy is healthy. Don't think Jay won't hesitate to pull the plug on the Case Keenum experiment and put in his guy, Colt McCoy, who he's probably dying to get in there anyway. Soon as Colt gives him the thumbs up, hey, coach, I can push off that leg. I'm ready to plant and throw. Don't think for 1 second Jay isn't going to try to get Colt McCoy into that lineup. So you could see a situation where on game day, they're only dressing 2 quarterbacks, and Dwayne Haskins isn't even one of those guys. I told you last night, I don't think Jay has any intentions of playing this guy. It's going to have to come from old Danny Boy up top. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But just so you know, the next quarterback to get in, unless it's before Colt McCoy is healthy and Keenum gets injured, the next quarterback to get in, not going to be Dwayne Haskins, but rather Colt McCoy. Prepare yourself mentally for that. All right? And everyone's talking, hey, by the Dolphins game, Dwayne needs to be in, especially if the Redskins are 0-5, 1-4 at that point. I don't know, man. You could be getting you a nice, healthy helping and serving of Colt McCoy, man. Brace yourself for that, because that, I think, is on the horizon potentially. So as far as Jay Gruden and him getting fired, I just don't see it. I've said this before. Unless the Redskins, I think the conversation starts after a loss in Week 6 at Miami. That's when the conversation for Jay Gruden getting fired starts. Unless Haskins starts that game and he just doesn't play well, then that's a little bit of a different story. You cut him a break. But if the Redskins start Case Keenum or Colt McCoy and you go to Miami and you lose, that's when you start having a real conversation about, hey, Jay got to get the hell out of here, man. That's when you start having that conversation. But I don't see the Redskins making a move in season at the coaching position. I don't. Even though we know Jay's not going to be back. And if you think Kevin O'Connell is potentially the guy, Why not try them out, man? It's nothing wrong with going up to the dealership and getting in a car and test driving it to see if you like it before you actually decide to make the purchase. If you think Kevin O'Connell is the next guy in line to be the next Redskins head coach, why not test drive him, man? Why not give him a chance? Give him the keys to the car. Say, hey, man, go ahead, take a couple of laps around the block and tell me what you think. Test it out. If you like it, hey, you can make this purchase, man. If you don't, you say, all right, we got to go outside the organization to find our next head coach. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying, but hey, we're 0-3, going to New York. We're underdogs. They look good last week, at least on the offensive side. Their defense is trash. And if we can't score against them, if we turn it over against them, and we allow the Giants to beat us, then we deserve whatever comes next. So, and this coaching staff deserves whatever comes next at that point. So we'll see what happens. But what a brutal Monday Night Football performance. We talked about it. And so now it's a quick turnaround. We'll turn the page tomorrow and put this game to rest as we will wrap up the Monday night loss at home to Chicago. Man, was that stadium bad or what? I saw a lot of empty seats. I don't know if Daniel Snyder is that tone deaf or not. He's got to understand that he's losing this fan base. It's really becoming an issue. I mean, that game, it looked like it was week 15 and the fan base had already given up on the season. It's week 3, man. That was a code red game, and the fans simply didn't give a shit. They didn't. You know, there were plenty of empty seats, plenty of Chicago Bears fans, and the poor Redskins fans that were there didn't have a lot to cheer about. So, and on a night where London Fletcher was enshrined into the Redskins Ring of Honor, they spelt his name wrong on the bulletin board on the Jumbotron. You know, they couldn't even get that right. That's how pathetic we are. We're honoring a guy, putting his name up in the rafters, and on the big screen, we can't even spell his name right. We're a train wreck, man. We're a mess. Oh man, I don't know. I just don't know. Man, yikes. But on the bright side, there is no bright side. We just got to hang in there, I guess. It's rough. It really is. But as I've always told you, we got skin in the game, man. Why? Because we're Skins fans for life. I know some of you want to check out. Hang in there. I don't want to say it can't get worse because there's always worse. But I still have hope because at some point this year, we're going to see Dwayne Haskins and we're going to find out if this guy has a chance to be a really good quarterback in this league or not. And I think that's the next thing to really look forward to. I feel like he's got guys to throw to. I'm really more confident now than I was when the season started that if he gets in there, he's going to have guys that are playmakers that he's going to have to be able to throw the football to and watch them work. Chris Thompson looks to be back in that 2016, 2017 Chris Thompson mold. And so I feel good about him out of the backfield. And really like what we have at the skill positions. And if we ever get Jordan Reed back, whether we do or we don't, but if we ever get him back, that's only going to add to the guys that we have and the weaponry that we're able to have at our disposal. And so I'm anxious to see him get a chance because the offensive line, I think, can protect him well enough. And the thing that we haven't seen from Keenum, which I know we'll see from Haskins, is Haskins showed us in the preseason, he'll tuck it and run. And Case has been unwilling to do that. Case has been taking sacks, backing up, missing throws like he did Paul Richardson at the 1-yard line on that 2-point conversion, I should say, backing up, and short hops him. Dwayne's running. Dwayne's taking off. He doesn't like what he sees. There's a little bit of pressure. He sees the opening. He's taking off and running. And I can't wait to see that dynamic because that puts pressure on the defense. And you just don't have that with Case Keenum right now. So in any event, I'm your man, Louie T. This has been the Redskins Nightly News. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.